Hello, hello, and welcome back to the 5 Foot Strong podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Gerlach, and today we are here with another exciting episode. Today, I wanted to talk about a topic that no matter who you are, you can relate to. It is the topic of breaking cycles. We all have these patterns we fall into, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, whether it's people pleasing, whether it's self sabotaging, whether it's getting into toxic relationships, even the way we talk to ourselves. We can sometimes we get into a negative cycle that we want to break, and we want to learn how to have positive thought processes and not negative ones as well. For a long time, I found myself in the same situations over and over, whether it be, my binge eating, whether it be toxic relationships, friendships, other romantic relationships, wondering why nothing was changing. And then I had to reflect inwards. And we've talked about it a lot, is reflecting inward. The whole idea is self-reflection. So I wanted to address this topic because I see it all the time. I see these patterns that people are creating. Sometimes we know, we are aware, and sometimes we're subconsciously doing these things and we might not even be aware of what's going on. So, in regards to this podcast, we're going to stick to physical and mental health, but there's many different cycles, negative cycles, that you can use these tips that I'm giving you and relate to them in many different situations. I'm going to share how I started recognizing those patterns and the steps I finally took to break free, and how you can also do the same. And as I said, you can relate it to recognizing many different toxic behaviors or negative behaviors and switch them to a positive or more healthy behavior as well. This is the episode to tell you that this is a reminder that you're not stuck. You can choose differently. It all comes down to you. It comes down to the choices you make. And whatever you do, you can really create the life you want. You can create the body you want. You could create the mental space you want too. So let's jump into it all and get started. So one of the biggest things, the number one step for breaking these cycles is, how do you even recognize what these negative behavioral patterns in your life are? And that's a really hard question. Is you got to look again inward, and whether it be, mine was binge eating. I would really binge and then feel terrible. I was using food as an emotional crutch. And I realized that that was a negative behavior that I was doing. So how do you break it? In some senses, there is a genetic disposition when it comes to weight. And I have it in my family, but my mom also, she was born heavier, but that she made healthy lifestyle choices. And so have I, to live a healthier, happier lifestyle, and not have those overweight genes that we might have been predisposed to. So going back to that question is, how do you recognize what negative behavioral patterns are in your life? Notice what keeps repeating and ask yourself, why does this keep happening? Why does this keep happening? Why are you binge eating? Well, are you unhappy in your life? Why are you choosing food is the number one drug there is, and people don't even consider it a drug, but you could definitely abuse food in some senses, just like you can abuse any other drug. So the problem with food, and I've mentioned it before, is drugs you don't have to do. You could go cold turkey and never do them. Food, you can't. We can't starve ourselves. Everybody needs to eat. So the most important thing that I learned, and I apply it to everything, is you need to learn moderation. And You shouldn't go from 0 to 100. You don't have to go from 0 to 100. You can take those small steps. We did a whole episode this season on those small changes making big results. But it all comes back to the choices that you make. So why does this keep happening? Why do you keep binge eating? Well, pay attention to your triggers. Track when you feel angry. Track when you feel sad, anxious, or you completely even shut down. What's your reaction to it? Are you going to, what is fueling that emotional distress? And, some people don't have vices, which is great. But mine was food, and that was a hard one to figure out, as I said, because everybody needs to eat. But I realized when I got anxious, when I got sad, when I did shut down, I would turn to food to try to fill a hole. And I realized that was just, I had to realize that what I was doing and take a step outside and realize that negative behavior that I was doing, and realizing that doesn't benefit me, that those changes don't benefit me at the end of the day. So I looked for, even common themes. What triggers the anxiety? What triggers the stress? What triggers the sadness? Is it certain people? Is it certain places that you feel that way? Is it situations that bring this out of you? Look out for those common themes. Look out for your triggers. When you feel the sadness, where are you? Who are you with? Look at that. Look at your results and not just your intentions. You may mean well. If your choices, though, lead to the same outcome, such as, burnout, drama, conflict, it's time you need to look inward at the behavior behind it. So it's really important. So in my sense, when I was binge eating, I had to see, why was I binge eating? Was I putting myself in situations that I was uncomfortable in? Why was my anxiety high? What was I doing? Who was I surrounding myself with? What was the thoughts in my head? Were they negative? Were they positive? At the time, they were very negative. So the binge eating was a band-aid on a much bigger problem. But food was where I turned to. Some people turn to alcohol. Some people turn to drugs. Some people turn to toxic behaviors, gambling. Even social media is becoming a drug on itself. Like, we all need to learn moderation, and it doesn't need to be a 0 to 100 in all these. Gambling, these are all behaviors that can turn toxic very quickly if not done in moderation. So for me, I couldn't go 0 to 100. I couldn't just cut out food. So I had to learn how to figure out what was causing my binge eating to either avoid or eliminate in my life to make me in a happier, healthier mindset, and do that work, do that inner examination on yourself. It's also important, if you do have a support system or people around you, sometimes family or friends, they might gently point out, you always, or they might say, like, I notice when. Instead of getting defensive, use that as feedback to improve, because they're looking out for your best interest. It's important to realize that sometimes you can't see those behaviors yourself. But if somebody that actually loves and supports you says, I don't know, you always get angry when this person's around. Well, examine. You always binge eat After a night out, well, examine what are those, why are you doing that? Examine inwards, and it's don't take it as a negative connotation. Take it as this is a way to improve yourself, because we're always looking way to improve, looking at ways in self-improvement, ways to grow. Evolution. We always want to grow. Till the day we die, we want to be our best selves and learn, get rid of negativity and live a more positive life. It's really important. So listen to the people you trust. It's not a bad thing always. Another way to notice those behavioral patterns in your life is journal. It sounds tacky, but a few years ago, I bought, and I've talked about this, I bought just like a regular pad of paper and a pen, and I've been writing in it. And it's so interesting to look back and see how I was feeling on certain days and what my triggers were and what I did. And it kind of makes sense. It's like you need to kind of take a step outward and look at yourself and say, are these behaviors that I'm doing, are they going to help you get to where you want in life, physically, mentally, professionally, personally, whatever it may be? Writing about your day can help you see where your emotions spike and where you repeat maybe the same stories over and over, because that might be a trigger for you. That might be something that you don't even realize bothers you or incites a emotion such as sadness, such as anger, such as anxiety. Why? We have to look at it's not, we can't just deflect outward and say it's this person's fault, or it's this situation, or it's that. Well, why do you feel that way? It's important to tune into your body. Patterns, like these behavioral patterns, they show up physically too. Again, do you feel a pit in your stomach, maybe tension in your shoulders, or I don't know, dread every time you're about to make a certain decision or a certain choice? Your body's telling you something. Listen to yourself. Do you feel anxious when you're going out to see a certain person? Do you feel, I don't know. I have a weak stomach, so I don't even know if it's anxiety or just that I have a weak stomach. But sometimes just listen to your body. Listen to your body. We want to reduce that anger. We want to reduce the anxiety. We want to reduce the sadness. And again, look at life in a more positive way and learn ways to evolve. Use that as a strength. It's really important. So the last way I want to mention about how to recognize those negative behavioral patterns in your life is ask yourself, is this helping me to grow? It's a simple test. Is this behavior that you're doing moving you closer to who you want to be? Or is it keeping you stuck? Is that binge eating helping you get that body and that self-confidence you've always wanted and you always knew you deserved? Probably not. Is that drinking helping you with grief or your sadness? Probably not. Look for ways that you can turn those negative behaviors into healthier behaviors. Go for a walk. Go to a therapist. Go talk to someone. Ways to help with emotions. Don't get angry. Get it out in a more positive, healthy manner. I asked myself, is that eating that donut or eating that few donuts back in the day, is that helping me get to where I want to be? Is that, eating till I basically want to throw up? Is that behavior moving me closer to where I want to be? No, it's not. It was keeping me back. It was making me stuck. So I had to recognize that. Nobody could do that work except me. I'm with myself 24 hours, 7 days a week. Not everybody is. So realize those behaviors. Analyze yourself. Journal, as I said. Listen to yourself. Ask yourself, is that helping you to grow? All those things are going to make a huge difference in your development, in your growth, in the way you take care of your health mentally and physically. It's really important to do. Again, nobody could do this hard work except you. We all have cycles we need to break. That's the important thing. We all have behavioral patterns that we need to acknowledge. First thing is realizing that you have a negative behavioral pattern. That's number one. You have to say, this is a problem. Number two, well, why is it what is causing that feeling? If you're anxious all the time, if you're sad all the time, are you anxious every time you go to work? Are you sad all the time? Do you, eat way too much and binge eat all the wrong foods because you're trying to hold on to a feeling of sadness or anxiety or depression or whatever that may be? Are you smoking? I don't know if a lot of people are smoking cigarettes these days, but if you're smoking, why are you smoking? That's an unhealthy, negative behavioral pattern that a lot of people have a challenge with. Why are you doing drugs? Why are you drinking? Why are you gambling every night? Why are you, in some senses, watching porn every night? Why are you, online shopping till your credit card bills are maxed out? These are all behavioral patterns that can turn, as I said in the beginning, can turn toxic really quickly. And it's important to realize that you have a problem, or it's not even a problem, that you're in a negative behavioral pattern and that you want to break it. Some things could be genetic, but you still are able to make those choices. You can't just blame genetics because of your weight. There are still ways that you can break that. If I just said, oh, genes are my problem, I would be 300 pounds right now. No joke. I do have overweight on both sides of my mom and my dad. So I knew I was predisposed to being overweight, but I said, I'm going to break that cycle. Well, how do I break that cycle? Well, what's causing me to be overweight? Well, why am I anxious? Why am I eating? The eating thing was a very hard thing to realize because it's not a problem to eat. Everybody should be eating. Everybody really, they should love food. We should all be grateful that we have great food. We have to learn moderation. And again, somebody who is predisposed to be really overweight, well, I can't just eat whatever I want and be the weight I want. I had to realize portions are really important. Everything in moderation. Should I be eating a dozen donuts to myself? Absolutely not. Nobody should. Did I realize the importance of taking care of my body after, having a lot of health issues myself, as a 17, 18, 19-year-old? If I kept going that way, I honestly don't even know. I know I'd be 300 pounds, but I don't even know if I'd be alive right now. And that was just how I was on that negative spiral that I've talked about many times, that I just kept eating and eating and eating and filling my emotions with food. And that was a big problem that I had to realize, identify, work on, and I still have to work on, and I'll have to work on for the rest of my life. It's the most important thing you can do is Use yourself as the best project you could work on. This podcast, 5 Foot Strong, it's all about being your strongest self. It's all about being, no matter what height you are, is standing tall and believing and loving yourself as much as you can. There's so much negativity in this world that we have to believe in ourselves and work on ourselves. Nobody's going to take care of us at the end of the day. So before I end, I want to end with a tip of advice and say, let's reflect. I want to give some, not really homework, but take a minute and I want you to reflect. What is one pattern or habit you keep repeating and it doesn't serve you well? I want you to identify that pattern and try to work on making a positive change to that pattern. Whether it is completely eliminating that habit or changing that behavior or reducing it or whatever it may be. What is that one unhealthy pattern or habit you have that you keep repeating even though it doesn't serve you? So I want you to take a minute and just think about that. Because I'm sure everybody has something. Everybody has something that they could improve on in their lives. So that's really important. I want to thank you so much for joining me for today's episode of the 5 Foot Strong podcast. Breaking cycles aren't easy. And I want you to be aware of this. I am aware of this. I know personally. But it takes that self-awareness. It takes a lot of courage and a lot of grace for yourself. Every time you choose differently, every time you choose a more healthier habit, you're building a stronger, healthier version of yourself. So I'd love to hear what cycles you're all going to break. Send me a message on Instagram or share this episode and see what other people's habits are. Let's keep this conversation going. It's really important. We could all live healthier, happier lifestyles, and it would make this world such a more positive place. I think it's really important. So if this episode spoke to you, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review. And it really helps us grow and reach many more people if we need to get this conversation going. We need to spread that more positive energy in this world. So until next time, remember, whether you're 5 feet tall like myself or 7 feet tall, we are all strong in our own unique and beautiful ways. Have a great day and stay strong.